Alco and Toyota are proud to bring you the fourth in the series of Wonder of Western Australia, Born in Fire.
What you are about to see used the talents of many thousands of people and took over a decade to accomplish. This gigantic project is one of the greatest engineering undertakings in the history of Australia.
Below me, here on the northwest shelf of Western Australia, lies the focus of 10 years of endeavour and investment, the North Rankin gas field. Tapping that gas, transporting it and converting it for use provided one of the most significant engineering challenges in Australia's history. Born in Fire shows how that challenge was turned into an achievement.
Symbol of life on Earth. The sun. 2,000 billion tons of gas burning at an internal temperature of up to 14 million degrees centigrade, generating heat and light for our universe. 5,000 million years ago, the vast outpouring of heat and energy led to the birth of the planets, among them the Earth. Over eons of time, the Earth began to solidify, evolving as a sphere of molten matter with a solid crust. The crust heaved and buckled, rain fell, rivers ran, oceans formed, and in time the first primitive life evolved, drawing its energy from the Creator Sun. Life forms were trapped within the sediment of erosion. Subjected to heat and pressure, the decaying matter began to change and formed deposits of oil, coal, and gas. A future storehouse to be unlocked by the ingenuity of man. But long ago, man had to take the first unsteady steps of evolution. His primary and everlasting priorities remain unchanged. Heat, light, food, and shelter. The symbolism of his civilization may have grown more sophisticated as the centuries have passed, but so has his use of energy. No longer the glimmering campfire warming the nuclear family, but millions of watts of energy supplying the mushrooming populations of continents. The driving need for energy has taken man on his search to the limits of his knowledge and capabilities, from the silence of space to the depths of the ocean. In 1971, 135 kilometers off the coast of Western Australia, on the continental shelf which fringes it, a great new resource was discovered by the Northwest Shelf joint venturers. North Rankin, the largest offshore gas field in Australia, extending over 50 square kilometers. Reservoirs of natural gas formed under sedimentary rock 3,000 meters underground, now covered by 125 meters of salt water and accessible only at the extreme edge of our technology. Although man has journeyed thousands of kilometers through space, 100 meters or so of salt water and 3 kilometers of rock locked the gas below an almost impenetrable door. The gas lay, trapped and useless, until it could be brought to the surface, piped to its destination, and ignited to produce the energy man will always need to survive. The search for offshore oil and gas in Western Australia began long ago in 1963, when the daunting task of exploring 367,000 square kilometers of the mighty Indian Ocean began. The waters north of the Tropic of Capricorn were crisscrossed by the wakes of energy research vessels, surveying a total distance equivalent to twice around the equator, probing the geological secrets of the Earth beneath the sea floor. As the exciting jigsaw fell into place, it was time to drill for the promised energy. However advanced technology becomes, human muscle will always play a vital role. Intense physical effort is written indelibly on the faces of this exploration crew. Across the waves, the test flares from exploration wells glittered and danced as drilling results were analyzed. Most promising of all, the North Rankin field proved to be one of the largest offshore gas fields in the world. The nearest point of land for a submarine pipeline to come ashore was the remote Burrup Peninsula, but before construction of the treatment plant could commence, an extensive environmental study was to be undertaken. Experts in sociology, archaeology, marine and terrestrial biology and botany undertook an exhaustive study. These experts were assisted with specialist advice from over 20 government departments. During this program, many previously unknown Aboriginal relics were discovered, surveyed and catalogued. Some are of outstanding archaeological significance and are preserved in situ. In heat of over 40 degrees centigrade and thick clinging mud, the ecology of the mangrove swamps was studied. Ornithologists recorded the bird life of the peninsula, including this osprey, which still flies undisturbed, fishing in the tropical waters. Meanwhile, out to sea, further test wells on North Rankin confirmed that a major development was feasible. Having discovered this immense resource and tested its potential, the challenge was to design and build the key, a permanent structure to unlock the door and release this vital new energy source for Western Australia and overseas markets. A massive platform must be forged, a man-made island planted on the seabed, capable of withstanding the rigors of a temperamental ocean and the unpredictable cyclones sweeping down the remote coastline of Western Australia, with waves of 23 meters in height and winds of up to 200 kilometers per hour. The legs, or jacket, must therefore be of massive proportions, standing on foundations that will penetrate into the sea floor some 120 meters, supporting a drilling derrick to sink 34 production wells, production equipment and living accommodation. With these additions, it will become a platform. Man's technology will forge it, harnessing the very energy it's designed to release. Like the Earth and the Sun itself, it was to be born in fire. 3,550 nautical miles to the north, high in the mountains of Japan, the prevailing wind, unchecked since it started its journey from the steppes of Central Asia, streams down across the Bay of Ise and out into the Pacific Ocean. Here too, the weather can be unpredictable. Typhoons and tidal waves can sweep in from the Pacific Ocean, causing havoc along the densely populated coast. Below the mountains, on the coastal plain, the city and dockyards of Tsu equipped with the massive machinery vital to the construction of the jacket. October 1981, 12 months since the start of construction. On the skyline, dwarfing nearby buildings, a new silhouette is dominating the Nippon Kokan shipyards. Autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, and already the 23,000-ton structure is 2/3 complete. The forests nearby echo the rusts, yellows, blues and greens of the weathering metal itself. Here, enough steel to lay 2,300 kilometers of railway track, in weight more than 18,000 family cars or 618 jumbo jets. Even with components as large as this, the precision is exact and tolerances have been calculated to the thousandth of a centimeter. Thousands of people in Australia and overseas are employed on the project. A truly international operation is taking place. Larger than the medieval cathedrals of Europe that took over 100 years to build, the construction schedule of this deceptively delicate giant is only 2 years. Six months later, as the cherry blossoms herald the arrival of spring, these children, who were born long after the Northwest Shelf venture started, will now see part of their city's skyline disappear. The band tunes up as an army of men rig thousands of meters of red, white and blue decorations. The new red carpet must have no footprint and every speck of dust must be removed. Its edges are taped, ensuring that no VIP will stumble. The quayside sand is rolled to pool table smoothness as a huge ball containing balloons and streamers is hoisted into the air. The champagne release is tested and the honor guard of workers is drawn up. Time for one last rehearsal as the traditional flower girl shyly seeks approval from the master of ceremonies. With champagne, balloons and fireworks, the naming of the North Rankin A jacket takes place. From high above on the jacket, the figures of the official party walk ant-like below, as the last remaining confetti from the celebration is scattered by the sea breeze. 9 days later, a stronger breeze tugs at the lifeline of a worker carrying out a final inspection of the jacket, which looks like some giant spaceship as it stands high above the barge, which is to carry it on its journey 3,500 nautical miles to the northwest shelf of Western Australia. While the skid beams in front of the jacket are greased, whole batteries of surveyors check and cross-check, making sure the jacket and barge are lined up exactly. On the 14th of April, the jacket is ready for the final loadout onto the barge. The construction workers, now dwarfed by their own achievement, watch as the team of 150 experts start the critical procedure of loading out. For Neil Ferguson, senior resident engineer for Woodside in Tsu, an anxious moment as the jacket is pulled onto the barge of the towing contractor. 87 huge pumps, each shifting more than 4,600 cubic meters per hour, trim the 183-meter-long barge to the tolerance of half a centimeter as the jacket slides onto it. For the next 24 hours, the delicate operation continues. Now, for the first time, the jacket is baptized in its natural element, water. Day gives way to night as carefully the process continues. When finally the jacket stands upright, it will be exactly the height of one of the ancient wonders of the world, the Great Pyramid of Cheops, the god king representative of the sun on Earth. Thousands of kilometers to the south on the Burrup Peninsula, work also continues through the night as the surface of the Earth is sculptured by hundreds of machines. Clouds of dust billow round men and machines in the hot tropical night, drifting across the face of a full moon. Back at Tsu, the moon is covered with the rolling grey clouds of a cold front sweeping in from the Pacific. The icy spring rain of the northern hemisphere trickles across the lens of our camera. By morning, the jacket is safely on the barge. April 26, secured now with 390 tons of sea fastenings, heavy steel supports welding her to the barge. She begins slowly, delicately, to be drawn away from the home she has occupied for so long by the two ocean-going tugs, Dahlia and Lager, their combined engines putting out 19,400 brake horsepower. She leaves a gap, both in the skyline of Tsu and in the lives of the workers that have made her. By that evening, she is 40 miles away at the mouth of the Irago Channel, departing the last land before entering the Pacific Ocean. The jacket is now entering the most vulnerable and dangerous phase of the entire operation. Ahead, water notoriously not as calm as this. This voyage, however, has been planned in a period of minimum typhoon and cyclone activity, when the sun is directly over the equator and the low pressure belt known to generations of sailors as the doldrums ceases briefly to produce these rotating winds, but nothing must be left to chance. Earth's most gigantic waves and extreme winds lie in the path of the tow route. Its very height, over 70 meters even on its side, makes it vulnerable to the colossal forces that could buffet it on its journey south towards the Philippines. So huge is the jacket that it dwarfs this normally impressive car container vessel. But the worst weather the jacket was to encounter occurred as Japan dropped below the horizon. sea-mile covered, constant checks are taken from the Intelsat weather system from ships all over the world. Radio contact is constant with Japan, the Philippines, and Australia. Now the 6 years of experimentation, the hundreds of thousands of dollars used to build tanks and test models will bear fruit as the great jacket rides majestically through the ocean swells, safely secured to the barge. Now passing down one of the world's busiest sea lanes. Between Japan and Western Australia, ribbons of islands, great and small, curve gracefully across the voyager's path. Around them run rips and currents. Coral atolls lie beneath the surface and the wrecks of ships uncharted. The tow line is now fully extended. Conditions are right. The speed, a remarkable 7 knots. As the historic Spice Islands slip past, one of the most beautiful sights the crew has ever seen takes place as the sun lifts over the horizon. The ancient symbol of life, hope, and energy seems to be giving its blessing to man's technical achievements. Since man has gone down to the sea in ships, the sun has also provided his means of navigation. As the tow continues and the little armada navigates its way southward, experts aboard the Dahlia make regular trips to inspect the jacket on the barge. Even in calm weather, every care has to be taken, as one slip would mean being crushed between the tender and the barge. Towing bridles and connections are checked for any sign of chafe or wear, and each one of the steel sea fastenings is inspected. With its engines turning at only half speed, the Dahlia moves steadily forwards. Over the stern, the tow line dips in a great curve beneath the waves, the jacket guided forward delicately by its own momentum. As thick as a woman's waist, the tow line stretches 1,000 meters behind Dahlia, but its weight is a staggering 24 tons. Thousands of kilometers away in Australia and Singapore, work continues on modules containing drilling and gas production equipment and crew accommodation. At Jervois Bay, Geraldton, Adelaide and Sembawang dockyards, they are being assembled. To enter them is like a journey into some giant metal creature. Here the veins and arteries of its heart are being assembled. Surgeon-like welders operate in the complex environment that forms the nervous system which fills the prefabricated steel structure. Controlled by this equipment, wells will be drilled penetrating the seabed to locate the gas which will flow through the undersea pipeline to the processing plant on the Burrup Peninsula. Far ahead of the approaching jacket, the pipe-laying barge 1601 is preparing to join and submerge the 11,170 sections. On the deck of 1601, welders will ride into the gun barrel mouth of the pipe, welding joints from the inside. Finally, the coated pipe will begin its journey over the stern and down the insect-like stinger to rest on the seabed. After 3 weeks at sea, the tow is now entering the last leg of its journey. in spite of an uneventful trip, a weather eye is still kept open for the unexpected. In the mess room, the off-duty watch of the Japanese crew still preserve their ancient customs, while modern radar keeps watch above. One of the most notable sea captains to first chart these waters had a very low opinion of northwest Australia, to which the jacket is bound, describing it as dry, dusty and destitute of water and unfit for habitation. Although he left his name as a permanent reminder of his discovery to future generations, almost 300 years ago in 1699, William Dampier had no way of knowing that one of the world's greatest natural energy resources passed beneath the keel of his ship Roebuck before he landed to look for water on the archipelago that was to bear his name. Close by, the peninsula jutting seawards into the Indian Ocean, dividing the now thriving towns of Karratha and Dampier.
Just the radar contacted you. There it is now, 6 degrees to starboard. We'll start at descent.
Our voyage too is drawing to a close.
Checks from the checklist, Q&H.
Quite big, isn't she?
Yeah, my word, it's a size. You certainly get some idea from here.
Sound, the jacket makes landfall as with infinite skill the tugs maneuver her slowly to anchor. The month-long voyage is over. She is warped alongside the crane barge Thor, named after the great Norse god whose legendary hammer produced thunder and lightning as he worked at his anvil. Hundreds of years after Dampier, that hardy and resourceful breed, the pastoralist, settled the land of the Pilbara. Little islands of civilization grew up surrounded by oceans of land. Early families founded stations with romantic-sounding names like Panawanika, Peedamalla, and Mundan Bulangana. From this land, the Golden Fleece provided Australia with newfound wealth. In 1930, these sheep were being shorn on the station which was to give its name to the town of Karratha, founded in 1970. It was created to serve the mineral boom which exploded in Western Australia, with the Pilbara as its focal point. These explosions are shaping part of the Burrup as the site for the construction of the onshore pipeline, terminal and treatment plant. From the air, it's hard to appreciate the mammoth task being undertaken below. Bulldozers, trucks and excavators, like children's mechanical toys, creep through the dust among huge piles of rubble. Over 100 earth-moving machines are working here. At ground level, it's a very different story. From the aptly named Rocky Giant, a total of 2.2 million tons of rock will be placed on the seabed to prevent erosion around the base of the approaching jacket and to cover part of the submarine pipeline. A flick of the switch releases a deluge of over 3,400 tons of rock. The town of Karratha itself keeps pace with the project. A hospital, public library and secondary school rise from the red earth of the Pilbara. These are an equally important long-term investment in the area and are partly financed by the joint venturers themselves. On parade, the young town is a far cry from the days of the outback pioneer and has all the accepted amenities of modern living. In the future, these children, Australia's human resource, will have a fuller life and better opportunities as development of natural resources expands, some using the tools of technology, others skilled in the use of more traditional tools. The hammers aboard the 27,000-ton Thor ring day and night as the specialist crews check the conditions of the jacket and prepare its launch. After a thorough investigation, Captain Keith Tucker, responsible for approving the insurance of the $60 million giant, is totally satisfied that it survived its epic journey perfectly. It now lies ready to be towed the last 135 kilometers to its final position over the North Rankin gas field. That evening, it disappears over the horizon, leaving Thor to join it on location. On Thor, as she steams towards the rendezvous, the sophisticated onboard computers check and recheck all the possibilities for the launch of the jacket. The responsibility for correlating information beamed from space and from sonar equipment on the bed of the ocean beneath them focuses here. For Thor is to be the benchmark on the surface of the Earth to which the jacket will be positioned to stand 125 meters below on the ocean bed. Once launched, this man, Robert de Knecht, will be in charge of finally upending the jacket and placing it precisely above the gas field. The position is fixed. Thor is anchored on station.
Preparations have been completed to the satisfaction of the undersigned. Cutting of sea fastenings and launch of the jacket are hereby approved. Signed for Noble Denton Woodcock and Associates Proprietary Limited, Captain K. Tucker.
Now the 390 tons of steel holding the jacket in place for the voyage is cut away. A metal forest crashes and thunders to the deck of the barge as flaming gas torches cut each sea fastening from the body of the jacket. Pre-dawn, the barge is deballasting to tilt towards Thor at an angle of 4 degrees. When unrestrained, the jacket will slide along the Teflon-coated skid beams into the sea. Slowly, the water begins to wash over the leading edge of the barge. First sunlight burnishes the base of the jacket for the last time. Cutting the sea fastenings is complete. The sea is eager to receive this man-made island. The tension on Thor is now tangible. The strain and fatigue show on the face of the barge superintendent as he checks with his crew on the state of readiness. The decision to launch is taken. Exactly 2 months since it was named, the North Rankin A jacket is poised and ready. The shear plates, the last tiny link between the barge and jacket, are cut. It has taken the efforts of thousands of people to reach this moment. The sea is calm, the wind is moderate. The final moment is here. There must be no mistake. To fail is unthinkable, the cost of any mishap astronomical. To men whose lives have been devoted to reaching this moment, these last seconds seem endless. Not only must she enter the water safely, she must surface and float as predicted. After a spectacularly successful launch, the delicate operation of upending the jacket and standing it vertically on the ocean bed can take place. Lifting majestically 20 meters above the surface of the Indian Ocean sits the control module, housing pneumatic equipment linked to the valves and flooding chambers of the flotation tanks. Despite the information being relayed to the two men perched high on the jacket from the sophisticated computers and team of experts on Thor, the 23,000-ton monster will have to be controlled by the dexterity of human hands. Working on the information received, they carefully and painstakingly begin to flood the $7 million flotation tanks. In an infinitely delicate operation, the jacket rotates and tilts slowly to settle to its predetermined position. From their vantage point by the control module, the two experts, Robert Denecht and Sam Gillies, watch the great mud mats on which the jacket will stand slowly disappear beneath the waves. The horizon shown on the time-lapse camera tilts crazily as the jacket begins to climb into the night sky. So careful have been preparations, so exact the planning, so precise the tank tests, that amazingly the jacket will finally come to rest only 1 meter from its exact planned position. Next morning, the great key has been inserted in the lock. The jacket is resting upright on the ocean floor. It has become a geographical location on the face of planet Earth. The barge that carried the jacket so many miles is departing to load another stage of the structure. Already, the next phase of tapping the gas for Western Australia and Japan has begun. In the weeks that follow, with the jacket firmly fixed to the seabed, the modules arrive and are swung aboard. Living quarters, production equipment, recreation rooms, drilling gear and helipad arrive, and the work of converting the jacket to a working platform continues day and night. Thor's great crane towers over everything, dominating men and modules alike. Spotlights sweep across the scene as the gigantic jigsaw is pieced together. In all, 19 modules weighing up to 1,250 tons each are delicately lowered into position. As they come to rest, teams of welders are constantly at work attaching them permanently to the main structure. The submarine pipeline is also nearing completion. Special teams in a pressurized environment weld the outside joints on the seabed, monitored from the mothership. Enter the biggest plough in the world, designed and made in Western Australia, riding its 3 trailers supported by 192 tyres to be loaded on a special barge and shipped the 1,500 kilometres from Jervois Bay near Fremantle to the distant gas field. Its job to plough in the pipeline, making it safe from storm and cyclone in one brilliant operation. The barge 1601 now assumes the role of Shire horse, hauling the 340-ton plough as it furrows its way over the seabed. These chains between the barge and the million-dollar plough are forged to take even more than the 400-ton strain now on them. As thick as an arm, every link weighs as much as 2 men. The plough performs faultlessly and completes its task ahead of schedule. Now the working platform of North Rankin A is joined to mainland Australia by the undersea pipeline. On the Burrup Peninsula, once so poorly regarded by Dampier, the complex design of the onshore plant assumes its final form, processing almost 11 million cubic metres of gas a day for Western Australia. Later, additional gas from a total of up to 34 wells will be liquefied and shipped the 3,550 miles back to Japan to be used by hundreds of thousands of people every day. Meanwhile, the gas, trapped and useless for so many millions of years, that invisible energy now harnessed, will commence its journey along the 1,500-kilometre pipeline to meet the expanding energy demands of Western Australia.
To undertake a project like this one will itself provide the key to future development in the region and contribute to Western Australia's self-sufficiency. Excitingly, it's not the end, just the beginning of the story.
Toyota and Alco hope you have enjoyed tonight's Wonder of Western Australia.